Morning, welcome to another Bite Size. Today is Effortless Works Orders for Property Managers, where we're going to really show you how you can streamline your works orders and give you some of our top tips throughout this webinar. There we go. As per usual, I'm Madeline and I'm part of the Alto software training team, and I'm joined by Emma, who is one of our education content specialists. As we always say, put down your distractions, sit back, listen. You can ask questions throughout. We do have an Alto expert backstage who will be answering the questions for us. If we have time at the end, we will have a little bit of a Q&A as well.
Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at optimizing work order management, key concepts and benefits. We're maximizing efficiency with the works order widget, enhancing workflows with property file integration, and then looking at a Q&A, addressing your works orders questions. And we've got a few that we've already thought that we might just show you a few tips and tricks there as well. First of all, we can do a quick poll just to get going. So if I just hand over to Madeline to just run that poll. You should see it pop up on screen in just a moment. And it's, how would you rate your understanding of using Alto to its best potential currently? So between poor, fair, good, and excellent, just select the one that's most applicable for your understanding of Alto at the moment. So yeah, got the results here. So like expected, got a couple on poor actually. Most people are on fair and good, which is really good to see. And yeah, hopefully we'll move everyone towards the good and excellent as we do each week. Lovely. So how can we optimize works orders management to maximize the key concepts and benefits?
Okay, so as usual, this is something that I like to kind of sort of bring in is your how, why, and when and what fundamentals, and giving you some sort of positive statistics in regards to this. So how are we using it? By using the works orders widget, we can efficiently increase our admin time. Sorry, our admin time can be reduced by 25%. It's my excitement from seeing all the lights last night. So by managing our repairs through this widget on the dashboard, we can lead it to a 92% task completion rate. That is a brilliant increase. When we use it, so using it consistently, the workflow is streamlined and the response times is improved by 40%. Why should we be using it? Because if we use it efficiently, there could be a 33% reduction in tenant complaints. So it's all about utilizing it and really using it to its key and maximizing.
That's exciting. There's some big numbers in there as well, which should be a really good improvement if anyone's not using that widget from after we finish this this demonstration, really. So how can we streamline the tasks with the works order widget? And then how can we improve workflows with property file as well for faster, seamless maintenance management?
Okay, so let's go in and do some demos and let's have a look. Hopefully we can all see Alto now.
Yes, yeah, all clear.
Just bringing in property file as well. So Alto dashboard, where do we find it? Our works orders widget is over here on the right hand side, and this is where we can see our workflows of our works orders. But I'm going to start off with showing you, if you're using the integration property file, which is within your, you can use this. This is how we can show you how one of your tenants can easily report their own maintenance issue and how it sort of flows into Alto. So in property file, I'm in the tenant's record at the moment, and simply just going to go to report an issue. They would log in, they'd have their own login details. You would have invited them to property file. So they've got their own login details and they can actually do this. We're going to go with alarms and smoke detectors today. And we're going to go smoke alarm not working. So they're given the option to choose what the issue details are.
And what does that blue box mean? That please check your tenancy agreement. What would that mean for the tenant?
Well, this is showing that the tenant needs to understand and check the tenancy agreement to what they're actually responsible for, and whether this is something that is involved in their tenancy, to whether the landlord would be able to do this work, have this works order go through, or whether it's something they need to go and do themselves, like going and purchasing the batteries or the new smoke alarm or something. So they really need to check their tenancy agreement.
You would hope that most would check the batteries first, wouldn't you? But you never know.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so they've got an issue checklist. There's only one on here, but again, this can be customized in the back end of Property File as well. This can be customized, but there is a default setup. Okay, so issue checklist, they tried to replace the batteries. They're just asking one question. Tell us what's wrong. So we're just going to say, for example, change batteries, but still beeping. I don't know if you've ever heard with a smoke alarm when it's beeping, it sounds like a bird tweeting continuously. From here, they can also add photos of the issue in as well. So they can add in their own photos as well. As you can
Oh,
see, this tenant has had a smoke alarm.
yeah. Someone's gone to town, smashing up the smoke alarm.
That's why it's still beeping. And once they've done this, they can confirm and send. Okay. And this will automatically send an email. The tenant will get an email to say that their works order has been issued, or their maintenance issue has been sent through. You can choose whether the landlord receives them as well, but it will also come through to yourselves as well as a property manager to this work order has been raised. Okay.
And can you customize that email, or is it just a default that sends?
The default is set up, but you can actually go in and customize it to how you want it to look as well.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
Maybe if you could show us or tell us where that is a bit later on if we've got time, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I will do. So we're going back to the dashboard and we're going back to the widget, and we can see it's got priority here. So you can have it set as priority, but you'll see that there's not as many sort of works orders showing. But if we click on status, we'll see a broken down workflow. And I'll just highlight here, the one that I've just raised through Property File that's just been sent by the tenant has now come into Alto as unacknowledged. But down on the left-hand side, we can also see a little number down here that says 34 total outstanding works orders. And if I click on that, I'm not going to go into detail on this at the moment, we can see a whole table of works orders appears.
Lovely.
So that works order has gone into our unacknowledged on the part of the workflow. It's literally just updated. Then it said 3 with 2, but now it says 3. And we can see when I click on this, we've got 11th for the 10th, room 1. This is Roxanne's works order. When I open up the card, at the moment, it's only giving me the option to accept or reject. Okay, so I would need to now actually go in and select a supplier.
If you're not ready to accept or reject it, what would you do?
So what we can do is we can actually contact the landlord directly from here, and we can give them a call and we can say, is this something that you would like us to put through? Is this some sort of job that you want us to do? And we can quickly access the details for the landlord by clicking on the property here, and it comes into the right. And here you'll be able to see the landlord's details, one rent, their mobile number, and their email. I can call them, or if I want to email them, I can simply click on the email and it will allow me to send them an email with a template if I've got the template set up. So here, you can also email a picture. So you can see this image. If I click in here, it also now gives me the option to email this picture over to the landlord if I want to as well.
Is that the image that has come through from Property File then that was attached by the tenant?
It is, yeah. So that image came through, attached from the tenant, and now it's in that works orders card, and it will stay in there. Okay. So I'm going to accept this job in and just show you how this now moves through that workflow. I'm going to select my supplier first, actually, as well.
Yeah.
You can do this. You can actually accept it, or before you select a supplier. But I'm going to select a supplier now. And for this one, I'm going to go for British Gas. But you'll see some stars here as well. And this is where you can actually favourite your suppliers, something that we'll show you again later on.
That's handy because when you've got a big list of suppliers, if you know that you're going to use the same supplier for the same property, or like British Gas, you might have where the agreement where they're coming out monthly or yearly to do checks and things like that. Having them to hand is really good.
Yeah.
So that one's got a warning here about the public liability. It doesn't have an active public liability insurance. What should you still be using them?
You can use them. I mean, this is basically alerting that within Alto, your supplier's record is not updated with their public liability. So if you do have that, it's really key that you have these dates set, that you have these dates up to date and everything is in there. Otherwise, you're going to get this pop-up come up to say they don't have any public liability insurance, even if you know that they do. So
Okay, it might not be the supplier. It might just be that your records are outdated and you need to go and get their updated certificate for that year.
exactly, yeah, exactly that. Okay, so I'm going to accept this job in. And you'll notice now, if we go to my workflow again, on the right-hand side, it's now going to drop into the new requests. So I can quickly open that, go back into it, and it's at the top, right at the top here, and I can open up the card again. And this is the part where you can start filling in some of the essential details for the works order. So we can put in our preferred start date, say we want to get this done as soon as possible. So we want to put it in as today, just for this purpose of today. And some of the key points here, I'm not going to really talk about any quotes at the moment. We can see that who it's been reported by, so we can see that the tenants reported it, that it's managed by myself as the property manager. And basically here is three key points: your priority, your billing name, and your access details. The most important one being the access details, because you need to know how you're going to be how your supplier is going to be able to access the property. Okay, and you can change your priority. So whether you don't feel the priority is high, you can change it. You can change the billing name. So if you want to bill it to the landlord, you can, or to the agency, or you want to bill it to the tenant. In this case, you could bill it to the tenant because they've smashed smoke alarm up as well, so they might be liable to pay that money. And also the access details. So is it the landlord that's going to let them in, or is it going to be one of the tenants that let them in? Okay.
You
Down
can-
here we've got,
Oh, sorry. Carry
okay,
on.
you go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just going to say, can you contact the supplier? Because say if you've got a local supplier and you just want to give them a heads up that a works order's coming their way, or if it is particularly urgent and you want to get them eyes on it straight away, is there a way of just contacting them from here?
Yeah, there is. So we can click again, like we did with the property. We can click on, it will highlight it, and it will bring in on the right hand side the details of the supplier, so their contact number and their contact email. And we can go through the same process like we did with the landlord
Yeah,
as well.
great.
So here as well, we've also got a little notes section. So we can add any notes to this works order. And these notes do stay internal as well. They don't go on to the timeline of the landlord, for example, or the tenant. They just stay internal within this works order card. So they can add anything in, for example, no change. And from here, we can instruct the supplier. We can do it this way. Or if we've already spoken to British Gas, for example, we can just simply change it here to supplier instructed. And if we've spoken to them, we've booked the job in, we can just do supplier instructed. I'm going to do it from here. It's just going to tell me, it's prompting me that it needs to save it. But now we've got another pop-up.
Yeah, back to the old public liability. So is that just another reminder then that it's making you super, super aware that you're happy to go ahead without that certificate?
It is, yeah. It's just really sort of alerting you again to say that, like we said, the public liability is not up to date on the system. So it's basically saying you need to go in and check this and update it. And this is really key in what we kind of reiterate all the time to say keeping your data up to date is key. So I'm just going to click yes because I know that I have as well. And that is the supplier has now been instructed and the job is going through. So it's here, suppliers goes into this one, suppliers instructed, and he is, if I just go,
Gosh, that's a lot of works orders. Can we filter that down? Is there a way of filtering it down? Or yeah, there's a little search bar, isn't there?
yeah. So basically, if you want to see that all your outstanding works orders, like we did earlier, I can go in here So I say this works order has now been, the supplier's been instructed, and it's now sat waiting for that supplier to go out. British Gas is going to go out and they're going to go and check that smoke alarm and fix it and do whatever they need to do. However, if you want to look at all your outstanding ones, like I brought up earlier, they do come up in a table, but we can filter this down. So as a standard, you can filter them down between the dates, preferred start dates, the suppliers, but there is a quick way of doing this. So I could put in here, for example, I want to see all of my cleaners' outstanding jobs that are still sat on the system waiting to be completed. And I can simply put in Sparkles, who's my cleaner, and there I can see that I have 6 outstanding works orders, and I'm going to start going into these works orders and tracking what's happening and sort of chasing them up as well, and hopefully getting them completed. Or you can do it by area. So for example, we could do let me just go WR4. It has to be 3 letters for it to bring anything up as well, a minimum of 3. And we can see here that I've got all of these works orders outstanding in the postcode area WR4.
Amazing. I really like that you can search by the supplier actually, because I think that if you've got a few outstanding issues that need to be dealt with, it's then one phone call, isn't it, instead of 6, if you can just look up all the jobs they're handling and then you can ring them and just find out what's happening with each. So yeah, it's a really great way of filtering it down.
Exactly. So going back to the public liability as well, another way of keeping on top of all of these public liabilities is on your events date on your dashboard as well. So we can see here, I've got my event dates here. I've got public liability insurance, and I can see from here that I've got 1 that's due, but I've actually got 32 that are overdue. So this is probably the reason why, well, it is not probably, it is the reason why this is popping up when I'm trying to add a supplier to a works order, that their public liability is out of date.
So
Okay.
actually, you should be using the due side and then getting those public liability certificates in place.
Oh, yes.
So you shouldn't really have many ticking over to overdue, should you? If you're using that widget, you should be on it.
No, yeah, because it is set up as well that you get an advance reminder as well. So it can be like from 30 days in advance to remind you to get that public liability update from your supplier as well.
It's
If I,
often the section that's really overlooked, isn't it? Those event dates, and actually, if it's a section that is kept really, really tidy and all of those dates are dealt with, the efficiency is just through the roof compared to not using it because it's there reminding you of every single thing you need to get done.
it is, yeah. And like from here, you can just simply go in and you can go in and update the public liability insurance. However, the best way of doing it is going into your contacts, into a supplier, for example. So I've got British Gas here, which is the one that kept highlighting me, into my management dates. So into my management, into my dates. And then you can see there's no actual due date on this one. So that's why it's flashing. So if I put in here a due date of, let's go for end of the year, beginning of next year, just to
Yeah.
give it a bit of time. Complete, update. And let me just refresh the screen just to ensure that it's in there now.
And there is a document section, isn't there? So I take it you could upload the document, like the actual certificate documentation there.
Yeah, so you would put it in the documents, you would upload the document, so you've got a copy of it in your Alto database as well. Okay.
Amazing. And while we're sort of in a contact, you did say earlier that you could favorite a supplier to a property. Would you do that from here, from the contact?
Yeah. So you can see that I've already got some here as well. All I've done is, so for example, I've already got British Gas as one of my favourites. Let's have a look. We've got EcoPlum. That is EcoPlum, isn't it? And we can just go star. And this is now one of my favourites. And when I go to do those works orders and I'm adding the supplier, they're going to come to the top of the list because they're
Right.
starred as well. Okay. Another way of doing it as well is through the property. So if I go to the particular property, and if I go to, I'm on the correct one here, we go to the property and we go to the management, and we go to our suppliers, we can add our favourite suppliers for our properties in this area here as well. So you can see already I've got Sparkles, Bob the Builder and British Gas. I want to select a new one. So I want to put Eco Plumbing. I can filter it down between plumbers as well, or I can just quickly search them. And there he is, my plumber. Confirm and save it in.
Amazing. And you can get really creative with those with that section, can't you? You don't have to necessarily add it as a supplier.
No, no. So we can be really creative. Say, for example, we want to have specific notes against this property, like where's the gas meter? Where's the keys? Like if there is a spare key as well, we can actually do a very quick way of adding in what it looks like a supplier, but it's particular notes against it for the works orders as well. So if we go select supplier, I can click add new. And then in here, I can just put in spare keys. So say, for example, your tenant has keys left with a neighbour, just simply click OK and then confirm. And what I can do here as well is you can add notes in to put in spare key with flat 2, for example, or room 2. I think this is a room, isn't it? Yeah, they're a room, aren't they? Room 2, okay? We can add in where they find the gas meter. So I could put meters, I'm using my spelling this morning, meters location.
And where would this show up? So would you be adding it onto a works order, or are you just keeping it on the file for your reference?
These are basically they are set to the property, but you can actually find them within the contacts as well. So they'll come under suppliers. So they'll be in your suppliers. I need to add new. That's why I wasn't doing it right. So we can put meter location. Okay.
But I guess in your office, then if you were to look under the supplier tab, you might be able to then see all the additional little notes that are important for that property.
Yeah, exactly that. And this is where you can get really creative, even if it comes to financial side of it as well. So you might want to have something like hold £200 against this property for works orders as well. Another quick sort of tip as well, you don't have to have using property file. You can also create the works orders from here. So you can do it manually by just doing add a works order, and it opens up the exactly same cards that you've got that come through as well. And again, it goes through the same workflow on your dashboard.
So that's if you haven't got property file set up and then the tenant was ringing you directly to say, right, my fire alarm's not
Yeah,
working, you could
yeah,
then just do it
exactly that.
manually by that. But obviously if it's on property file, it's just a bit smoother and less
It
admin
does,
for you.
it streamlines it, and obviously, like we said, you could put the photo in through property file as well, but you can simply, if they're sending a photo in, you can upload it in this way as
Yeah.
well. Um, just to finish off with the last top tip, shall I just show them the property file just to show where you can find it to configure it? I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, really helpful. I know had a few people in the chat also asking how to turn property file on, so that'd be quite
Oh, brilliant.
good.
Okay, so we go into our tools section and we go into templates and admin. So this is, as long as you've got admin access, this is where you can go in. And then we go to the left-hand side where you can find property file. If it's all switched on, it'll be here. If it's not, then it can be set up as well. It's just by adding in like the main contact details and the branch details and everything as well. But we do offer further training in regards to this as well to help you get this set up and working exactly how you want it. But you can also go in, and if you've already got it set up, and go in and configure. So if I click in the little pen, it's then going to open up this on property file. Hopefully you can still see this as well. And you'll see here down the left-hand side, it's got all the configuration as well. So you can configure your maintenance issues to the point of where, say, for example, here, you can add in your subtypes as well. Okay, so you can go in and amend all this. If I drop this, you can see it's enabled. You can disable. The same with email templates as well. But this is something that we can offer as a training session as well, where a trainer will be on one-to-one with you and they'll be able to sort of go through this step by step of exact, because it is quite an in-depth thing configuring as well.
I think what's really nice about property file as well is because obviously the landlord and the tenant have access to it. It almost takes away the phone calls, doesn't it? It takes away them having to ring you for updates because they can log in and see when their works order has been accepted, when the works order has been, when it's being carried out and completed. So it's definitely something to have a look at. Let's do another little poll here. So you'll see it pop up on screen in a second. Are you currently using any integrations to manage works orders? We've got the results here that have just popped up. So quite a few no, but I'm considering it. We've got a few that are using it in some way. But yeah, majority are not, but now having a look at it. And I mean, all of this stuff, it's being adapted all the time, isn't it? And actually, it
Yeah.
might not actually be something that might have been on your radar before. But it's all these little bits that can just make your work life a little bit easier, a little bit.
100%. And like I said before, it's within your Alto already, so there's no extra charge or anything like that. It's already included. So
Amazing.
Q&A, do we have any questions left, or is James
I
done?
want to go straight in with the Q&A. I just want us to show how to turn on property file, like refer property file to the from a contact. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think that would be really handy because if you've got a tenant and actually you might have property file already set up and without even realizing it. And that's just like a really, really simple area to go
Thank
to.
you.
We've got a few people that want to know more about fixed flow from the chat, which is amazing. So yeah, carry on dropping that into the comments. We'll see any of these comments coming in and we'll make sure that we reach out to you about that. And also if anyone's sat there thinking they want to know more about property file, put that in the chat as well, because we can then reach out to everyone.
So if you want to, I'll just show you one way. There is a couple of ways of doing it because I'm keen. I'm just looking at the time. For property file, if you've got a tenant, for example, we've got Tara Lennon here. She's not using property file at the moment. We can simply go down on the contact record, left-hand side, property file, as long as you've got it all set up and working, and you can go send invite, and then they will receive an email inviting them to register with property file. You can do the same with your landlords and your tenants as well. And you get to pick and choose. So you don't have to feel like every single landlord has it, every single tenant can use it. And the other thing that as well, which I didn't mention with the configuration, you can pick and choose what landlords and tenants actually see as well within their dashboards on property file. So again, that's something that we can show you in further training as well.
Thank you, everyone, for sitting here and listening to us for so long. Really, really appreciate it. I hope it's helped. This is just what we ask at the end of our webinars. If you wouldn't mind scanning that QR code, so grab your phones, turn on the camera, scan the QR code. That will take you through to our feedback page. And that's just really valuable for us to know whether we're delivering you the content that you need and adapting it to bring you as interesting and engaging content as possible with these webinars. Thank you so much for your time. Any questions that are in the chat, we'll get back to you separately if they haven't been answered. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed it and hope it's been valuable to you.